Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, step right up and enter our world. A warning to all, a word of beware. This isn't your normal paranormal affair. The strong man's inside. The wolf boy is too. There's a frozen Neanderthal and a bearded lady to boot. The admission is free, no fee to come near. Your stories you'll hear, born of horror and fear. A Bigfoot sighting is certain, a ghost story or two, an alien abduction, or a conspiracy brood. We're the collectors of stories, testimonies of the weird. Yes, soon you'll learn much of the world the normal ones fear. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely Christmas wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we've got an amazing show for you fans. It's coming from the main event. Yeah, we're having a really cool time. This show is going to be awesome because I've been looking forward to this one.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It's something that's near and dear to my heart. We've talked about it, and we've alluded, and we've gave hints and allegations many times.
We're good at hints and allegations.
We are.
Yes.
But we've talked about this subject so many times that it's throughout the course of our podcastery.
Yes, we've mentioned it.
Just a couple times.
Yes.
So do you have the title?
I do. The title of the show is Remnants of the Forgotten, Curious Artifacts That Should Not Exist.
Should not exist.
Yes, I feel like this should be a dun, dun, dun.
You know what I feel like it should be?
What?
Time Life Books. Can you hear the commercial? I mean, can you not hear that commercial?
Yeah, with the narrator guy that did all the
Remnants
Time Life
of the past. Curious artifacts that should not exist. Yours now with a subscription to whatever.
Right.
Time Life magazine.
And then you get a book following that every month and billed directly to your card.
Those Time Life books, man, those things are freaking awesome. I still, if I see one of those in a bookstore,
right,
I still will pick them up.
Did you ever get the whole set?
I never got a whole set. We were kind of a first, try this for a trial period. If you don't like it, you can send it back for a full refund. Right. We were one of those families that always got the first one. Right. So I have like the first, Mysteries of the Unknown, the first, the Real Days of Jesus.
You have like the first encyclopedia.
Yeah, no, I do. No, for real. We would always get the first one. And I think that my grandmother forgot to order the rest of them. Right. Or, she really just got the free. Because, they're like the first one's free.
Right. Keep it.
Right.
No obligation.
Right. No obligation. Right. So no obligation. And you know what's so funny about this is I don't even know if they realized that they did this. You know what I mean? I don't really. But we would always have the first book. So no, I never got all of them. They had like the Mysteries of the Paranormal one too. Remember that? Like,
yeah, I remember seeing the commercials for that.
I have a couple.
Really cool.
Yeah, I have a couple of those books.
Yeah,
and it's nothing life changing, but it's a cool collection with the cool pictures and all this stuff of the little, stories and stuff. But I love those books, man.
Yeah,
I absolutely love those books.
I do.
And if you love those books, you should go to ParanormalSideshow.com because that's your address to find out everything Time Life. It's really not. I mean, just as a little side note here, you will find nothing about Time Life on there.
Nothing
just
at all.
Just in case we have any Time Life employees that are looking at it. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. On Instagram, Hot Jimmy Graham, it's John and Stacey Edwards. And on YouTube, you need to search Paranormal Sideshow, and you will find us. Or you can search the third side and watch some really cool videos.
A little different than these.
Little different.
Yes.
Lots more comedy. As hard as that is to believe.
Yeah, really.
But speaking of that time of year, we're quickly approaching into the Christmassy. Well, we're already in Christmas. It's like a whole month thing for you.
It's full on Christmas in this house.
Oh, I know. Every day.
TV stays on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
Watching the Christmas movies.
Why are you doing like the George Bush, like senior? It was like you were doing the 1,000 Points of Light. It was full on Dana Carvey across the table from me.
Nobody else can see me.
She's like watching the Christmas movies. 1,000 Points of Light. It was great. And here in a few weeks we're going to be doing our 2016 top 10 stories.
Like year in review. Of thing. Yeah.
The top 10 stories that probably did not shape your life.
But we thought were cool.
Yeah, they'll go completely against like your end of the year magazines. The stories and the people who shaped your existence. It's like that's exactly what we're going to go against.
Exactly.
It's like these are the stories that had nothing to do with anything, but were great conversation throughout your work week.
There you go.
So and you can find all that on paranormalsideshow.com. So don't forget to go there. And if you're on iTunes, please subscribe. Please hit 5 stars. Please subscribe to our YouTube. And let me give something else out here. I want to ask a little favor of our listening audience. If you have a paranormal team, or if you are a ghost hunter or a paranormal investigator or anything of the like, and you have this very haunted location that has not been done on TV yet. None of the ghost adventures, ghost hunters.
A diamond in the rough, so to speak.
Diamond in the rough, a hidden gem.
Hidden gem, yes, I like that.
If you have a hidden gem of a haunting, and something legal, something that
it does not require trespassing.
Right.
Yes.
Something that a production crew could actually get into and do this place. If you have that and you have some evidence to go with it, or you've actually done this place, please contact me on
the Paranormal Sideshow website.
Yeah,
there's a contact. Just click contact. It'll come right to us. There's an email address there. There's phone numbers. There's all kinds of things.
And this is, and I'll be secretive about this and not secretive at the same time. This is for a project. So if you have one of these places, please get a hold of us and let us know what you have and possibly share some evidence with us. We will definitely be using it and be in contact with you and see what happens and see what develops from this whole thing.
Yes.
And speaking of developed, it's time for Stacey Edwards and the Paranormal News.
Okay, I think that was the most interesting lead-in you've ever had.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's two of my favorite subjects.
All right, well, let's get into the news. So this first story, we've already talked about this because it's been going around. It's about the pyramids in Antarctica.
Oh, yes.
All the weirdness that's going on with this.
All the bizarro.
Yes. Well, let me start with the actual news story.
All right.
So this has been going around. And
for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, I just want to point out that this is not a new story. It's been going around like it's new, and people have been sharing it like it was something that was just discovered.
And I will also say Stacey refused to do this story a couple of times, and that I brought it to her, and because of the fact that it was just rehashed and it was on some faker news sites.
Right. Well, if you just search pyramids in Antarctica, you can find stories and articles going back like 2012, 2011 with the same pictures and the same story basically. So I didn't want to use it because it was just the rehashed thing. But then we found out some other weird little things that kind of happened around this.
Right.
So I thought that we would talk about that. So the first thing is about John Kerry, who actually visited Antarctica on election day. He was like, as the election was going on,
which is very odd.
He went to Antarctica to supposedly, under the guise of conservation, global warming, talking to the scientists, that sort of thing. So this is strange, I think, because one, they probably didn't tell him anything they couldn't have told him over the phone.
Right.
I don't think it was necessary for him to spend all that money to make the trip all the way to Antarctica. And also because in like his 4 years as being Secretary of State, he's actually done a lot of conservation type things, issues. He's tackled the issues, especially around global warming. He didn't need to be convinced.
Right.
This isn't a situation where he had to go so that they could show him so he could be convinced.
He already knew.
He's already knew convinced.
Man Bear Pig was real.
Exactly. So some people suggest that he made the trip because it was on his bucket list and he just wanted to do it on the taxpayer dime before he got out of office. I don't know, but just the fact that he went down there, I think, is odd. He's pretty high ranking to be making trips.
Oh, you could say that, yeah.
To the South Pole.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So if that wasn't weird enough, Then we've got the whole Buzz Aldrin deal.
The Buzz Aldrin deal.
Yes. So supposedly Buzz Aldrin went there as I think it was kind of part of a tourist kind of group thing where he was just going to visit, bucket list thing, obviously. And while he was there, they actually had to have him evacuated because he got sick. And I think what he eventually said was he had altitude sickness or something like that. But something happened to him and he got taken out to the hospital.
Hard to believe an astronaut could ever have altitude sickness.
Yeah, I know he's getting on in age, but still he's a pretty healthy guy. So
healthier than me.
Strangely enough, on his verified Twitter account, he tweeted out the strangest thing. And it was a picture of the pyramid. That's like the one that's going around in the news stories from the Antarctica. And the words were, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself." And that tweet actually got screenshotted a couple times, but then it got deleted.
We are all in danger. It is evil itself.
Yes, that's what it said.
With a picture of the
pyramid.
Of the supposed pyramid
in Antarctica.
Right.
So, of course, it was deleted.
We are all in danger.
Pretty soon, yeah.
It is evil itself.
Right, which was what makes this very weird.
Yeah, and the reason that we are doing the story is because of our very huge, giant, large, gigantic suspicion of anything that is coincidental.
Right.
Because we don't believe in coincidence.
Right.
And I have asked Stacey, coincidentally, to do this story recently, and a lot of news sources out there are not reputable. They will have one story that looks somewhat reputable, and the next one will be about the giant Gila monster that just killed the Pope.
Exactly.
So you have to be really careful when you're doing news. I'm sure that there could be times that we report something that ends up not, being that way. But we try. We try very hard to report the stuff as it is.
Right.
And let you form your own opinions, and we try really hard as well to follow links. Stacey always tries to find the original source of news stories. Right. And to her credit, we don't just see a story and be like, you know what, let's report that. There's always checking and double checking, and still yet some things get through. This one was strange, as Stacey said, because there was multiple things all around the same.
It wasn't just the pyramid story. Now, as far as the quote unquote pyramids, it's been suggested that these are just the peaks of mountains.
Right.
Poking through the snow, which is totally plausible because if you think about the Matterhorn in the Swiss Alps. I don't know what the Alps are.
Yeah,
that's somewhere else.
The Alps are evil itself.
It's kind of pyramid shape. And, the pictures of these, it looks like solid rock. So, I'm not saying there aren't pyramids at the South Pole. There could be all kinds of things down there we don't know about. But just the fact that this story broke, and then the John Kerry thing and the Buzz Aldrin thing.
We had the lake down there. The story about the lake.
Right.
We've had so many stories. There's so many Hollow Earth stories. Right. That originate from there. There's so many stories throughout time that originate out of there. And there's a lot of reason for that. I mean, it's the big dark secret still. It's the place you can't go and really look at. And there's theories out there that at one time it had vegetation.
I was going to say, I read that there's a theory that at millions of years ago it wasn't covered in ice, that there could have been people living there.
Totally plausible, especially if you were looking at Pangea. I mean, it would have
been a different part of the earth.
Right, absolutely. So, I mean, there are possibilities of things, and if you were an otherworldly intelligence, what a great place to hide. Right,
somewhere that the creatures on the planet don't really go.
But I am intrigued if this legitimately happened with his Twitter account.
Right.
And Buzz has tried to give us hints before. There's been numerous times on news interviews where Buzz has tried to give a quick little snippet of something, like, hey, this is happening, hey, look out for this, you should check into this. If this really happened, and this, I know we've seen screenshots, but hello Photoshop, if this really happened, if he really tweeted this with this picture, then that gives a little validity to the argument. And I wonder what they're bringing all these big names in to take a look at. What have they found?
Right.
You know, and there was something even with some conservationists that did something with the oceans recently.
Right.
Where in that area you can't be around for like the next 20 years.
Yeah, something like that, where it's guaranteed to keep people away.
Right. Guaranteed to keep people away.
So
I mean, there's
all very strange.
Yeah, there's a lot of things adding up here. And the reason we're telling you, just keep your eye on it. Keep your ears open.
Yeah.
You know, and if you see something on Antarctica, be sure to like read more into it.
Yeah. Well, the thing about these is if you took each of these things individually, you know, great. But when you start putting them all together is when you start getting the weird.
Yeah.
So.
And if anything else, follow Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, you know, I'm curious. He is getting on in years. I wonder, do you think he's going to be one of those deathbed confession kind of guys where he just tells all right before?
I don't. I think that Buzz is too much of a patriot.
You think so?
I think that Buzz is a patriot through and through, and that he will not. It's a pride thing. I mean, I can see him saluting to death. Well, you know, true. And as a patriot, and you're keeping these secrets for the greater good,
right?
Then probably not.
Probably not.
It's going to be not Buzz Aldrin. I just don't see Buzz Aldrin doing it.
I don't either, but I was curious. You never know with,
right. You never know. On my deathbed, would I, if I was at that level? No. I wouldn't. And I've said before, if they come to me, as much as I want the truth and want to find the truth, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they won't tell me. You know, it's just trying to find those answers because there's so many clues left for us. And you know, if I was sworn to secrecy, I'm a company man.
That's true.
I wouldn't do it.
Your integrity to the end, aren't you?
Integrity to a fault, probably.
All right, well, let's move on. So this story is really cool. This is about the first piece of a dinosaur tail that was found preserved in a chunk of amber.
Wow. This one is amazing. It's just amazing because it's going to mean so much.
Right.
And go ahead with the story.
Okay, so it's the tail of a 99 million year old dinosaur that included bones, soft tissue, and even feathers. That was found preserved in like this big chunk of amber. Not a big chunk, a little chunk of amber.
Wow.
So the research, which was led by paleontologist Lida Xing, I think that's how you say her name, of the China University of Geosciences. They found the lump of resin. It's like a 1.5 inch appendage covered in delicate feathers, kind of like a chestnut brown color sort of thing.
Another Chinese discovery, by the way.
Yeah, I know. They're on the ball, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they did CT scans and microscopic analysis, and it actually revealed that there are 8 vertebrae from the middle or the end of like a long, thin tail. And based on the structure of the tail, they believe it belongs to I'm going to try and say this dinosaur name. This is going to be funny. A coelurosaur. I can't even hardly say that. It's the weirdest name. But they've pretty much figured out what kind of dinosaur it is.
Right.
I mean, they're aware of this. So the fact that it had the separate vertebrae, they weren't fused or anything like that, that rules out the possibility that it was a prehistoric bird.
Wow.
Like they can tell that it was from a dinosaur. And they tried to study the feathers too, and they've determined that they're not flight feathers, that they're just a decorative kind of feather.
Do you realize, I mean, what they can do with this?
Yeah. In Jurassic Park.
Well, I mean, at this level, what they can do with this, and I also like the fact that this may put to rest the Earth is 5,000-year-old theory.
Right.
I'll leave that where I said it. But you know, it's so amazing, and the findings just keep coming, don't they?
Oh yeah.
We talk about it all the time. You never know what you're going to find, and I applaud these people. God, the people that are out there doing the job I wish I had done.
Right.
If I had one thing that I wish I had done, it would have been an archaeologist.
Yeah, you know, I thought about that as a kid too.
I mean, I wanted to be the astronaut. I got the trip to space camp that I weaseled out of, and you know, I definitely wanted to do that until I found out how much math went into it.
Right, and you were kind of like,
it's not that important. but archaeology, and the thing about it is, I think I like the maverick archaeology better. I like the forbidden archaeology, like I always talk about.
Right.
And so I kind of want to go get the 2-year degree.
Right.
Just so I can have archaeologists somewhere on there, like archaeologist
I suppose
undergrad.
if you were a full-blown archaeologist, they would have kicked you out by now of
Oh, yeah.
their little archaeology club.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever.
Because archaeology would have to be the one thing that I would tell people. Mm-hmm. You know, it would be like, I just found a 12-foot giant holding a saber paw, you know.
Right. You wouldn't keep it to yourself.
Oh, no, how could you?
You wouldn't give it over to the Smithsonian, would you?
No, absolutely not. Damn the Smithsonian.
Well, anyway, I thought that was a really cool story and a really cool find. It was everywhere. I know everybody's probably seen it.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
But we have to talk about it.
All right. So let's move on. And let's talk about the new witness that has come forward for the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen this story?
No.
Okay. So there's a retired U.S. Air Force officer. His name is Steve Longero. He has broken his 36-year silence, and he came forward to tell his story from the Rendlesham Forest incident. He was there. And so what he says on his part of the story is that he was on guard duty that night, and he saw the lights, you know, like everybody else. He went into the forest. He saw all the people. He named some names of the people that were obviously there. Mm-hmm. And he explained what he saw. He said he saw the UFO. He said they looked like fluorescent colored lights, like red and green glowing lights. And he could see them hovering over the treetops. And he also said that as people were getting close to it, it kind of came near to him. And then it just disappeared. Like there was no explanation for it. But he said that he didn't come forward before. I guess he just didn't want to, but he wanted to come forward now because he wanted other people that were there to also kind of come forward and confirm. So it wasn't just 2 or 3 people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And those stories, I mean, they're deep. Mm-hmm. There's more than just that one incident, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have the ones with the markings and, you know, the glyphs.
Yeah.
That they've seen on there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he wasn't as involved as some of the other witnesses, but it's cool that he was there and he backs it up and he verifies what was seen.
It's great.
And
I mean,
that kind of thing.
While we still have witnesses.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it don't end up being a Roswell thing.
Exactly.
It's very cool. I applaud anybody who actually has the courage to come forward and say what they actually indeed did see.
Right.
It's amazing. And that story, of course, is one of the...
It's like the
it's
British Roswell.
As I've talked about before. If you're going to have a UFO show, it's going to...
Well, that's why I didn't go through the process of explaining what it was.
You know what it is. It's going to start out with, you know, tonight on the brand new UFO to go, you know, Area 51, Roswell, Travis Walton.
Well,
Rendlesham Forest.
I did that story on Paranormal Sideshow website, and there is a link that goes to a full interview with him, so you can read everything he said about it. You know, if you're interested in that kind of thing,
right?
You know, it's right there for you. But I thought that was pretty cool that he did actually come forward.
I mean, if you're a noob, by all means, you know, you need to know this stuff. It's ufology 101, and it's in the first day of the first course. So
it's the first page.
It's just
page
that
1.
when you've been doing these things for years, for a very long time. It's just something you've read or seen, and it just gets old because of when you do see the new television show you're excited about.
Right.
They rehash the same story. I would liken it to a comic book fan,
right,
who is really excited for the Batman movie, and then they continuously redo the Batman origin.
The origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, can you give it to me at 40? You know, kind of like they're doing with Ben Affleck.
Yes,
I'm
liking that.
I'm actually excited about seeing grumpy old I hurt in the morning Batman.
He can barely get out of bed.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, well, let's move on. So this is kind of a cool thing. It's not really a news story. It's sort of just a YouTube thing that we found.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so there is a YouTube channel, and it's called Exploring Abandoned Mines.
Very cool.
And the channel is basically just what it said. There's a guy whose name is Frank. He just goes by Frank. I don't know what his name is. But he explores abandoned mines, and he takes his video camera down there and shows you everything he sees. It's actually pretty cool. Has tons of subscribers. So there's a video that he posted recently, and it's in a mine. And when he's in there, you can actually hear a really, really odd voice. It sounds like a voice. It was so odd that it creeped him out.
Right.
And he commented that it was not something he normally would hear, that it was.
Yeah. And we went back to make sure that Frank was legitimate, that he had been posting videos for a few years, and that this just wasn't, a YouTube video made one time. Because when you hear the voices, they sound fake.
A little bit, yeah.
I'll just be honest with you. It's for people who's done. Now, I have been on a paranormal investigation where I heard a baby running around me in a circle cackling. I've knocked on the door before and someone said, go away. I've experienced all these crazy things, but they are few and far between for that level. This is some creepy stuff, dude.
It is. And like you said, he's been doing this for years. This is not the first mine he's been in. He goes in these things, hundreds of them. So he knows,
right,
what to expect, what to hear. And so even in this particular video, which I'm going to link to, around the 12-minute mark, if you're watching it, you can hear he's showing something about the beams, and you can actually hear it's very clear. And at first he dismisses it because he's like, is that the wind? I think maybe some wind's rushing through here, or a bird or something like that. But you can tell he's creeped out, and then he gets out of there.
Yeah.
And he actually said that he's heard some weird stuff in mines before, but this was definitely creepy.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's whatever this is saying, and I invite you to go listen 12 minutes in. Stacey will have this on paranormalsideshow.com. A link to the video. Listen to it with your headphones, and we have all kinds of paranormal investigators and enthusiasts on here. Tell us what you think it says, because I'll tell you what, it sounds like they're telling you the secret of life.
Yeah, it sounded like a lot of stuff. Well,
yeah.
This particular mine is actually it's 150 years old. It's called the Waldeck Gold Mine, which is deep inside a canyon in the high country of Western Australia. So if you're familiar with that,
well,
I don't know if that's considered a haunted mine or not.
I was thinking Tommy knockers. I was thinking elementals, elves, the ones that always help the miners that would be in a mine.
Right.
That's where my mind always goes. I don't directly go to the human ghost.
Right. Well, it could be any of those things.
Right.
Or it could be the wind or birds or whatever. So you just have to listen to it.
Very cool, though, guys.
Yes. And so I'll definitely put a link up for that so you guys can go check that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I got a couple more stories here. And these are just going to be, you're not going to like these.
Oh, great.
Which means I really have to do them.
Oh, no.
This first one.
No clowns, though, right?
No clowns. The first one's about monkeys.
Oh.
And so there has been a study that has been done that started tracking the movement of a monkey's vocal cords.
Oh, God.
Because it's always been determined that monkeys and apes cannot talk. And, we got the whole Planet of the Apes movies coming out.
Damn
like
dirty
that.
ape.
So as it turns out, monkeys actually could talk. Like, they have the vocal cords. They have everything they need. It all works like it's supposed to. They could actually do, I think it was like 5 different syllables, enough to do a language. The only reason that they can't talk is because of the way their brain is wired, and it doesn't allow them the ability. So the whole thing about that Planet of the Apes movie, they pretty much had it dead on. They altered the monkey's brain. He talked.
Right.
That could happen.
Well, I could, in theory, sleep with Alyssa Milano, but I don't, or I can't. That's terrifying. You know how I feel about that. Ever since I heard the gorilla story, where somebody killed a gorilla, poached a gorilla, they put the guy in jail, and then the other gorillas came to the jail in that little town.
and tried to.
Yeah, and stood outside and waited for them to try to give them that guy. That's when I said, okay, we've went too far.
Yeah.
And the discovery of the mountain gorilla was probably too. We should have left them where they were. Not messed with them, and bringing all these orangutans and everything in and teaching them, sign language and stuff. Oh, how cute. Look, she can say I have to pee. You know what? It's a damn dirty ape. Let it pee on itself. Let it go. Now, I don't want to kill them. I don't want people to kill them. I love animals. Absolutely love animals. But I'm telling you,
we should be teaching them.
We shouldn't be teaching them. Anything that's stronger than you physically, you just don't go that far with it. It's really crazy, though. So they could actually talk.
They could, if their brains were wired properly, they have the capability of speech. And these scientists, as funny as it is, they made this computer program where they simulated what the monkey's voice would sound like, and you can listen to it. It's really creepy. It's pretty crazy.
When I was when we were living near West Virginia, I always said that if their brains were wired properly, that more than likely they could talk as well.
I don't believe it.
No, I don't either.
All right, so here's this last one. This one you're also not going to like.
And by the way, we can say those jokes because we're totally from the Virginia, West Virginia line.
So that makes it okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a robot thing. You love smart robots.
No, I don't like smart robots.
So thanks to the researchers at Cornell University, they've created something called GentleBot, which brings a human touch to robotics. They've made a hand that feels like the touch of a human. It's very gentle.
Ooh.
So I don't think it's for that purpose.
Why not? You telling me that these stuffy scientists at Cornell,
right,
that have never had the touch of a woman, didn't spend billions of dollars
to make a soft robot hand
in 10 years to figure out how to make one that felt like a real hand? It's
really funny. It is actually a hand, and they call it GentleBot, and it's able to not only touch fragile items but also sense the shape and texture of things. It can pick things up very gently.
Why call it GentleBot? Why can't they call it like, Bot 421-4? GentleBot just makes it sound dirty.
I know.
It just sounds dirty.
But
it's no TenderBot.
Well,
come on.
The purpose was to make a hand that is very close to an actual human hand. It's only a matter of time. They're making the robots so that you can't tell the difference.
They are feeding into what will one day be our overlords. This will all go back to this is it. They'll go back to this in the history books. The robots and the monkeys.
Remember when they made GentleBot? They figured out monkeys could talk?
Yeah, wait till they get the monkey talking. They blow his arm off. They give him the GentleBot arm. It's just a matter of time. And, or the robot picks the monkeys over us. Hey, we kind of like them better.
Yeah, they're smarter.
Yeah, no, quit doing this. Hey, you know what? There's pyramids in Antarctica. You guys can go research and spend all your money trying to figure out that.
The next thing they're going to do is take some of that DNA out of that dinosaur tail in the amber and make the dinosaur theme park.
Okay, I would like to see the dinosaur theme park. I'm all about it because look, we could take the dinosaurs down. We think. Unless the dinosaurs talked as well, which was totally possible.
That's true.
We don't know. They could have been like, "Lo, Frank." "Lo, Fred." Yeah, I totally seen the sheepdog clocking in for work.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, that was all my news.
Well, thank you for terrifying us.
You're welcome.
All. And now, I believe it's time, thank God, for our main attraction. Honored guests, friends, and marks, we here at the Paranormal Sideshow would ask that those faint of heart or weak of the knees to please switch off this broadcast, as it's time for the supernatural spectacle, a mystery wrapped inside of an enigma and stuffed neatly inside of a Tijuana taco roll. It's now time for our main attraction. All right. Well, tonight, however you may be enjoying us right now, on the main attraction, we're going to talk about something, like I said at the first of the show, near and dear to our hearts.
Yes.
And we're calling it Remnants of the Forgotten because, that's a really cool name, right?
Yeah, it's pretty artsy.
It's pretty cool. Basically, artifacts that should not exist.
Yes.
And when we say this, it's something we've talked about before on the show many times. There's some things out there that defy all explanation.
Right.
And some of these things date back way before they say, I'm doing they in quotes, way before they say that man was around even, that man walked the earth, that man was intelligent.
Right. Or before they had the ability to make these things.
And before we even get into this, I will say, I personally believe we've been around this block a few times. I believe that we have been fully advanced several times and started over. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's if we're a ant farm. I don't know if we're some kind of experiment. I don't know if it happened by accident.
If we just destroyed ourselves.
Right. But if you look out there are arguably evidence of a nuclear war. If you look at some of these old writings, I think there's a whole lot more to them than myth. Some of our very oldest text speak of otherworldly beings. They speak of even a longer past than that. Look at some of the things we're digging up that are 15, 20,000 years old. and it's intelligence. There's civilization, stuff that was purposely buried. But we're not getting into all that.
Right.
But it's all part of this story because I firmly believe that the more, just like the dinosaur tale, the more that we dig, the more that we look into our own past, and with the technology we currently have and that we are about to have, I believe we can start unraveling some of these mysteries for those with an open mind and people who do not want to suppress the truth. Because that's one of the biggest issues is when you're funded by the Smithsonian, you're funded by some big university who does not want to rock the boat.
Exactly.
It's kind of like the Columbus deal. You know, was there people here pre-Columbian from Europe? Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And they don't want to change the history books. They don't want to change this, white bread vanilla look that they have for everything. And I'll just say it. I'm not going to put a if out there or a what about. I am saying my opinion is that the evidence has been overwhelming for a long time that we've been around.
Right.
And I think that's the most amazing thing. It's just so cool to me, the technology and the possibilities of the lost and forgotten knowledge. So we're going to talk about a few of the facts, a few of the artifacts, if you will,
right,
that really make up this story. And for those people who, only look at these top things, some of these are really hard to explain away. I mean, they really, really are.
Yes. I noticed when I was researching this that there are a lot of these type of artifacts where you'll find people that are adamant about how they're natural, or they're adamant about how it makes sense this way, and they absolutely refuse to look at any other explanation other than, you're crazy if you think that's out of time. But
well, here's the thing. I absolutely believe that some of them can be natural.
Oh yeah, me too.
And some of them more than likely are natural. If you want to give me proof of them being natural, I will accept it. Absolutely. But when there is no proof one way or the other,
right,
you have to look at all the possibilities.
Right. Well, that was my point, because all these people, they'd be like, well, it's possible that this happened, and that they feel like that's their proof that they're natural, but they're just saying that it's possible. It's also possible that this is out of time. That's possible too. It's
your same argument about the paranormal.
Exactly.
You always say that. I remember watching many shows where people debunk. And even on investigations, I've heard you say this to people. Just because it's possible to recreate that this day and time with the technology we currently have, you can recreate any of this. That doesn't mean that it's not real or it didn't happen.
Exactly.
So you have to really have an open mind, and it goes both ways.
Exactly.
But, I believe personally that we keep finding more and more and more and more. We find bones almost every year that dates humanity back in certain regions, tens of thousands of years earlier than originally believed.
Oh yeah.
Because we don't have a clue. We've only really been trying to figure this kind of stuff out for maybe 100 years.
Oh yeah, and you see all the stories all the time where this rewrites history or that rewrites history, or this predates that. It's all the time they're finding it.
Absolutely, and it really it begs the question of what happened. That's what I want to know.
Right.
What happened? What caused all this? Why did it end up being this way? So let's get into a few of the stories.
Okay.
The first one I want to talk about is is actually close to one of the places we've lived before.
Right.
In West Virginia. Very, very intriguing story. It's the bell found in the coal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the story itself goes, in 1944, as a 10-year-old boy, Newton Anderson's task was to keep the coal furnace stoked in his home in Buchanan, West Virginia. One evening, he went into the basement to refuel the furnace and carried a particularly large lump of coal on his shovel. As he carried the loaded shovel, it wobbled, and the coal fell onto the floor, breaking the lump in two. A slender metallic object was revealed, protruding from one of the broken halves. Newton set aside the piece with the curious object and placed the remainder into the furnace. Over the next couple of days, the boy extracted a small bell with a demon-like figure positioned atop from the coal. First by whacking it with a croquet mallet,
and then by cleaning it with a lye and scrub brush. Anderson spent a great deal of time researching the demon-like figure, sending inquiries to multiple universities. He discovered similarities to Pazuzu, the Babylonian demon of southwest wind, and the Hindu deity Garuda. Now, let me say, once again, I don't believe in coincidence.
Right.
So I believe if you have an abnormally large piece of coal that falls off your shovel and breaks in the floor and has a freaking demon on top of Bell, that there's more than likely a reason that happened.
Right.
And one of the reasons is that demon probably wanted to be freed. I wouldn't have rang the bell. I'll just say that.
No, I probably wouldn't have either.
In the 1940s, a neighbor named Carl Hoylman delivered coal to the Anderson household. He negotiated with landowners to extract the coal, mined it, sold it, and delivered it. The coal found in West Virginia's Upshur County is dated in a period that should be 323 to 298 million years ago.
So all the coal that they got was from right there.
Right.
So all the coal in that Anderson house was right from that area.
Right. And
that's crazy.
And it dated to, let's just say 300 million.
That's insane.
Years ago with this bell
trapped inside
of the coal, which coal takes
a long time.
Million of years. I mean, to even form. In the 1963 to 64 time frame, a man named Boris Bialas took the bell to the geology department of the University of Delaware at Wilmington, where it was studied and then returned. They confirmed that the bell was handmade. Anderson eventually moved to Florida and became a chemistry teacher. In 1973, he attended a presentation by Dr. John Morris of the Institute for Creation Research and brought the bell to John's attention. Morris analyzed the artifact in the lab at the University of Oklahoma. He subsequently wrote, nuclear activation analysis determined it to be primarily of bronze with a curious admixture of zinc. In 2007, Newton Anderson took a lie detector test while being interviewed about the bell and its origin. He passed and was found to be credible. Now, what this tells us is that bell was in that coal. And why? You know, I mean, and the very fact this demon type creature was on top of the bell is, I mean, if you see this,
there are pictures.
Yeah, this picture, it's amazing. And it's also very curious.
Right. I think it's curious that the guy that tested the metal said that it was bronze with a curious mixture of zinc. Maybe that's something that doesn't happen. Is that what you said? I think that's what you said.
Yeah. And it's one story of many, but it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Just because of the lie detector. And because of the credibility surrounding the whole story and letting people examine it. And if you're going to make up a story, why make it that? I mean, really.
Because obviously that's his whole life, because they found it in, when did you say, 40s?
Right.
And then he was even still getting it tested in the 70s. Right. So it's something that he carried with him.
Yeah, you would drop it.
I wouldn't drop it.
But no, I mean, you would drop the story.
Oh, I was like, I'm not that clumsy.
You would drop the story by that time.
Yeah, if it was fake, you would. I agree. All right. Well, I'm going to start with, since you did that story, let me start by talking about some other objects that were also found in coal that are kind of interesting and out of place. So the first one is from June of 1891 in Morrisonville, Illinois. So in the Morrisonville, Illinois Times, in the newspaper, there was a story about a Mrs. Culp who found a circular-shaped 8-carat gold chain about 10 inches long embedded in a lump of coal that she broke apart to put in her scuttle, her coal stove or whatever. Wow. So the chain was described as antique and of quaint workmanship, but it was in the middle of that lump of coal.
Wow.
And it said that the coal came out of one of the mines right there in southern Illinois.
Right.
So there's that one. And then there's one in... Yes.
Coal, it takes, and I talked about this on the last story, it takes roughly 300 million years. 300 million years to form.
Right.
I mean,
I mean, I don't know any other way that coal forms. Like,
no,
I don't know that it can be formed quickly.
Let's say it formed quickly in 200 million, you know?
Regardless, exactly.
Right.
So also in Glen Rose, Texas in 1912, there was a worker feeding the coal into an electric power plant, and there was a really large lump, and supposedly he split the coal open, and a cast iron pot fell out of the middle of the coal.
Wow.
And supposedly another worker witnessed this, and they gave sworn statements to whoever was investigating it. So that was another one that was kind of cool. So then also another story from Colorado in the 1800s, a rancher, broke open a lump of coal that was dug out of a vein about 300 feet down in the earth, and he found a strange looking iron thimble. And it was dubbed the Thimble of Eve by the media. The media picked it up.
Way older than Eve, by the way.
Unfortunately, it disintegrated. It was mishandled and it was not properly taken care of. So it's not around anymore. But then there was one more that I thought was really interesting. It's called the Salzburg Cube. And it was found by a worker named Riedel in an Austrian foundry in 1885. And he also broke open some coal because while he was working, and he found a metal cube embedded inside. And at first he thought it was maybe just like a meteorite sort of thing, but some recent analysis showed that it was actually forged iron and handcrafted. So it's not perfectly square. They don't really know what it's for. It's only 2.5 by 1 4/5 of an inch. It's pretty small, but it was right down in the middle of that coal. They think it might be like a machine part or something.
And you're still not going to, even if you were trying to fool someone,
right?
The chance that they would pick up that piece of coal.
Exactly.
Slim and none. And Slim just left town.
Right. So, these are all good evidence of artifacts that
Absolutely.
are not where they should be.
And while we're staying, since my favorite number is 3, while we're staying on 300 million, since 300 million years to form coal, I'll do my 300 million year old screw.
Oh, okay.
And she only looked 250 million years old. It was like last call.
You had a lot to drink. It was one of those things.
No, I had no idea she was 300 million. All right, but the 300 million year old screw. On October 7th, 1996, a group of researchers were participating in an expedition, My Cosmopoisk, trying to find the fragments of a celestial body that fell in the Kaluga region in western Russia. When Dmitry Kirkov, who discovered the stone, removed the dirt from it, he saw a bolt embedded in the rock. The screw, which is clearly visible in the head and nut, has a length of about 1 centimeter and a diameter of about 3 millimeters. Scientists initially thought that the screw was in a farm machine, but further examination revealed that the screw was firmly fixed in the rock. Geologists estimate that the rock age was 300 to 320 million years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's in there. It's like part of the rock.
Yeah. So, I mean, we hit that 300 million again. Like one of those ages seems like 300 million years ago.
Right.
And
how would a screw get down into a rock like that anyway? And buried. I mean, that's just insane.
It just wouldn't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. That's the short answer.
That's crazy.
Would not. Wouldn't.
It should not.
Should not.
Exist. Should
yes.
it? Oh, okay. So let me tell you a story. This is called the Dorchester pot.
Ah.
Yes.
I've had some of that before.
Kick your butt, didn't it?
Yeah, that Dorchester pot is primo.
Not that kind. All right, so this is on June 7th, 1851. A very interesting article appeared in the Scientific American. So this is actually an article in a magazine, okay? And the article described the discovery of an object that resembled a silver zinc vase inlaid with fine silver in the form of a vine. It was very intricate. There's pictures of it. So the strange thing is that it was embedded within 15 feet of solid sedimentary rock. And the way they found it is that they were blasting the rock away from a hill, and they blasted it out. It actually broke it in 2 pieces. And they picked it up and kind of put it back together to see what it was.
Boy, there's a curse waiting to happen.
Yeah. And it was this obviously handmade, very delicate vase. And the age of the vase, well, if you just do the age of the rock that the vase was in, I mean, you're looking at supposedly millions of years old.
Right.
It was crazy. So it was like a bell-shaped vessel. It was 4.5 inches high, 6.5 inches at the base, and 2.5 inches at the top. So it was kind of like a fluted sort of. And they're like 6 figures of a flower bouquet, all inlaid with pure silver. I mean, very intricate.
Wow.
All the way down in that 15 feet of solid rock.
No reason.
I mean, sedimentary rock, that takes a while.
Right.
So I don't know. It's very strange. They still don't have any explanation for it or anything like that.
I think that one lesson from this is before spending billions on space research, that maybe we look around our own Earth a little bit more.
Seriously, I don't even know. It doesn't really say what happened to it, just that it was stored at a university and labeled unknown.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I don't know where
I hope it was in
now.
the back of a warehouse.
Well, this all came from an article from 1851, so it's not the most recent,
That's amazing.
information on it. But that I hate that it broke when they blasted it out. But obviously it was in there pretty tight if they had to blow it up to get it out.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Well, I've got one more.
Okay.
And it's my favorite.
Okay.
It's actually a story that has intrigued me and pulled me toward finding theories and starting discussions on advanced ancient civilizations. It's known as the London Hammer.
Ah, I like this story.
And that's London, Texas.
Yes. Yes. It's a good thing you clarified that.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Max Hahn were hiking along the Red Creek near the small town of London, Texas, in June 1934, when they happened upon a small rock nodule with a piece of wood protruding from it. They took it home and kept it. Max Hahn's son, George, broke open the rock nodule in 1946 or 1947, revealing the rest of the hammer, including a metal hammer head. According to the studies of the Institute of Columbia, the inside handle underwent the process of carbonization. The head of the hammer was built with an iron purity only achievable with modern-day technology. According to analysis, the head of the hammer consists of 97% pure iron, 2% chlorine, and 1% sulfur. The rock encasing of the hammer was dated to an era more than 400 million years ago. The wooden handle has places where it's partially turned to coal, a process we know
Takes a long, long time.
to take 300 million years.
That's crazy.
And there's no explanation because they've tried to find them. And this London hammer was meant to be found. That's one of these things that all these stories come, I know that you can find things by accident, but they all seem to have just as easily not been noticed,
Right.
just as easily have not been found. But a lot of times, just like a murder case, clues seem to present themselves.
Right.
Like some other unseen force is wanting to tell you the truth. It's wanting to tell us the answers. And for me, this, alongside our coincidence theory,
Right.
only points to the fact that this is supposed to happen. These events are supposed to have taken place. Our discussion right now is supposed to have been happening. So someone out there who is listening gets inspired and they find out more about this, or they themselves have had a discovery or will have a discovery to, rival the things we're talking about right now. So, sorry, but this is what gets me up in the mornings.
Yeah. Well, I love that London hammer story. I think that one's awesome because it's right there. They tested the metal and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I have one more also.
All right.
And this one is called the aluminum wedge of Iud.
Oh.
Just sounds cool.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So in the beginning of 1974, a strange object was found by a group of construction workers that were digging in the area of central Romania. And so they found this little metal wedge at a depth of approximately 10 meters in the sediments of the river. I don't know how to say it. It's like Muirs. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. But when they discovered it, it was discovered together with some very ancient bones, including the jaw of a mastodon. So it was kind of in the sand pit under 35-foot thick layer of sand with these bones was this little piece of metal. At first they thought it was a rock, but once they kind of cleaned it off,
Right.
They realized that it was made of aluminum.
Wow.
And
Aluminium.
So, yeah, depending on how you spell it. But they supposedly took it to this institute to be examined, and it was found to be made of an alloy of aluminum encased with a thin layer of oxide, and that it actually was composed of 12 different elements, but 89% of that was aluminum. And they kind of say it looks a little bit like a hammerhead. It's about, it's not very big. I don't know if I have the dimensions on it. I know, it's about 20 centimeters long and about 12 centimeters wide and about 7 centimeters high. And it has a little circular depression in it.
Right.
And there's lots of pictures. You can look at them online, but it's considered strange because this was, aluminum was not something that was made until, I don't know, the late 1800s. So if this was some kind of tool or some kind of piece of machinery, with mastodon bones, obviously,
right.
It couldn't have been natural. It's all aluminum.
No,
so.
and well, that's much like the London hammer. The purity, they didn't have that heat. They didn't have the ability to make it so pure.
Right.
Until more modern era technology.
Yeah. Now, this one is not quite as old, though. I think they said that because it was found in the same layer of earth as those bones, it would make it around 11,000 years, something like that. But still, that's way before we supposedly had the technology to do this.
Absolutely.
So, and they still don't know what it is. It's still unsolved and curious, if you will.
And there's so many more. This rabbit hole is deep, dear.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
There's so many more things out there that you just can't. Go back to Tempe. There's so many places, so many things, so many mysteries, and the clues are out there. These are the clues that we're talking about. These aren't the mysteries themselves; they're the clues.
Exactly.
And to the way to solve. You would think that we would, instantly be thinking, okay, well, what we have figured out now was this was made 300 million years ago. Now our mission is to find out what happened then. Let's dig these places. Let's go down and try to find other remnants of the past. And
I can't imagine that very many things survive that long of a time.
No, most stuff just, it would have to be under special circumstances. It's kind of like the amber dinosaur tail.
Right.
There's going to have to be some sort of preservation. There's going to have to be some maybe catastrophe that happened that threw soot over top everything really quickly.
Right.
No, I'm serious.
No, I know.
But those things are out there.
They are.
They are out there to be found. As much as they don't want us to find this stuff, it's out there. It's happened. And it's not just one. It's not just two. It's many, many things.
Oh, yeah. We've just pulled a few examples.
Our favorites.
You can go online and all you have to search is, ancient artifacts or out of place artifacts, I think they call them sometimes. And you're going to find a whole list of all kinds of things other than what we've, found here.
So what do you think?
I really think that, I'm not going to speak specifically about any of these examples, but I do think that we've actually been here before and come and gone and, other ages of man, that we've been technologically advanced before, and that we do like we're doing now. We will ultimately kill ourselves off from stupidity.
Yes.
It'll happen.
Stupidity's just...
it's rampant.
I like the way you put that.
And I think that it's happened before. Apparently, we've not learned anything. It'll happen again.
And on that bombshell, that was our main attraction. All right. Well, I really, like I said, I enjoyed the topic. I would like to have maybe a guest come on and talk about this same topic, talk about some research, talk about some things like that. So if you're that guest and you're listening right now, get a hold of us at paranormalsideshow.com and you'll be on the next show. It's going to be that easy. I just anything that provokes thought.
Right.
That's what I like. That's what I live for. I don't like the mundane troll world that they want us to live in. Although I have to live it with the get up, go to work.
Well, exactly.
Go to bed. I'll play along with their little rules, but they can't.
But inside,
but they can't control what I'm thinking.
Exactly.
It's just like a child in a very strict house.
Right.
You can make me wear this, you can make me say this, but you can't control what I'm thinking. So as long as all of you out there can remember that, and you keep thinking, just keep thinking. That's our T-shirt. Keep thinking. Just keep thinking. ParanormalSideshow.com. That's where you go when you want to think. Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. You don't think quite as much there, but you still get a little bit of thought process.
A little bit.
On the Twitter, it's @Sideshow97. There's all kinds of thoughts, but they're all mine. On Instagram, hot damn, it's John and Stacey Edwards. And on YouTube, just search Paranormal Sideshow. If you're not a subscriber on iTunes, please do so with love and respect. And for this Christmas season, which we'll have quite a few little episodes, for my lovely, adoring Christmas wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.